Hi guys, it's SimLicy here, so welcome to another speed build. So today I am sharing another part of my renovating base game series, which is a series that I am doing where I am renovating the base game builds and using only base game to do it. And then this time I'm also sharing it in combination with another series that I am doing throughout this week, which is called 7 Days of Base Game. And it's just a mini series that I am doing to celebrate the Sims 4 base game becoming free. You guys could get it on October 18th moving forward. So yesterday, this one is going to be the third part of the series, which is very exciting. If you guys have missed the other parts, I will have them linked in the description so you guys can find them really easily. But so far, I've shared a suburban home and then a renovation in Oasis Springs of a little mid-century style house. And then this one is, of course, the Willow Creek Library. I'm forgetting the name of it. It's like Municipal Muses, I think that's what it's called. But anyways, I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. I am very excited to be renovating it because I've never renovated this build before. So it's very exciting for me. And really, I've just been kind of lost with what to do with this lot in general for like my save file and just for other projects and stuff. It's kind of a difficult lot. And so I'm actually really happy with the way this came together, especially the interior of the museum. The exterior of it really doesn't change that much. I liked the way it looked, and I felt like if I changed too much of the overall shape, it would affect the interior too much. And I liked the interior. I felt like the floor plan choice was not the best of the original version. And definitely the way it was decorated was a little bit weird in my opinion. Like some of the artwork clusters and placements of lights, it just kind of felt a little bit confusing to me, and I didn't really understand what kind of museum it was supposed to be. Like, is it like a modern art museum? Is it I don't know, like a traditional art? I didn't quite understand because there was such like a mixture of artwork, and I really like it to stick more to a theme. And so that's what I tried to do. I just tried to pick more traditional looking pieces, things with like fancier frames and more like ornate looking like statues and stuff. And I also changed the interior wallpaper and flooring because originally I just felt like it was too loud, and I don't know. I wasn't a fan of the interior. I always feel so bad being such like a harsh critic of like interiors designed by somebody else, because of course somebody did make this, and I don't know, I always kind of feel bad, but it wasn't my favorite. But anyways, I felt like this needed like a more grand entrance, and so I decided to do a double staircase. Of course, with the Sims 4 base game, these types of stairs were not possible up until like this past like year or two. I forget exactly when the ability to actually change the shapes of staircases actually became available. It happened at some point, but yeah, it wasn't there originally. So when this original museum was made, this was not possible. So I can forgive them for that one, I guess. But anyways, I felt like just having a grand entrance made a lot of sense. I really wanted there to be like a front desk, so I used a computer and just a little countertop to place it on to make it feel like somebody would actually sit there and maybe like, you know, answer your questions about the museum. If it's a free museum, of course they wouldn't charge you, but maybe they would charge you there too. So I just felt like there needed to be some sort of a like reception desk of some sorts. And then I also wanted to close in the areas a little bit, so I added some walls and some archways. I also added these fences with the ropes. I felt like it made it feel very official, and like the artwork was very like prized and special, and like they wanted to keep people away from it. And so I felt like it just made it feel like the Sims had somewhere to go and they couldn't stand right up close to the artwork. And so I really liked the effect of it. And I also really liked how they had these benches in the center of the room, so the Sims could actually like sit down and look at the artwork. I felt like that was very realistic, so I wanted to keep that as well. I just changed the color of them and put a little table in between them with some flowers on it just to make it feel cute, basically. And yeah, it's really simply decorated, to be honest. I really didn't do anything that crazy. I just tried to make it feel more realistic, basically. And I just copied over the sides and just switched up the artwork. I wanted to basically just keep it pretty cohesive, and I also tried to find artworks that were similar in size. And so just to kind of balance out the space and not make it feel too like lopsided or too heavy in one particular area, because I felt like that's how it was originally. Like some of the walls just had like so many pieces of artwork. Like there would be a cluster of like, you know, 5 or so paintings or some sort of wall sculpture, and then one on the other side, and it just felt way too off balance to me. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then over here is going to be the bathrooms. There's 2 bathrooms. They're going to be identical and they're not gender specific. They're just kind of regular bathrooms for anybody to use. Originally, there were 2 bathrooms also, but there was one behind the staircase and then there was one over in the right side of the building, just kind of like an extra room. I don't know, I felt like that was also kind of awkward. So I wanted to just have the bathrooms right behind the staircases. And so I felt like that worked out pretty nicely. And then also for the back of the build, I did switch up the back balcony and I just changed the shape of it. And I really didn't have any particular reason for this because it wasn't like the original one was bad. I actually liked like the rounded look of it. I guess I just wanted to do something different. And I liked the way the front looked as well. The only thing I wanted to do was bring the building closer. And then I also wanted to add more of like the concrete flooring around the building and then also remove some of like the landscaping and make more of like actual planter beds. So I do that. The only problem is recently we got an update with the whole like rounded rooms feature and it kind of broke the rounded floors as well. And so when you have a flooring underneath a rounded room, it makes the flooring like come up like the rounded part. You'll see it here in just a little while when I work on the front of the build. It's so frustrating. And I did play test this build to make sure everything worked and everything. And so I played around with that and you can fix it. All you have to do is delete the flooring that's directly underneath the rounded balcony that sticks out in the front. And so you can't have any of it underneath, otherwise it kind of sticks up. Oh, I feel like this doesn't make any sense because you guys can't see it on screen right now, so I'm really sorry, but it's just kind of a frustrating thing, but it can be fixed. And even when it's fixed though, it doesn't look perfect because there's still like a gap in between like the flooring and the rounded floor. So yeah, it's just kind of frustrating. But anyways, here I'm moving on to the second floor. Pretty much the same concept as the first floor. And pretty much same layout as well, and very similar decorations and similar style of trying to find the same size of paintings. And I used the tool mod to scale some of them up or down to make them more of like the same size, and I felt like that was a pretty good decision. And yeah, more statues and more of these little bench seats. And I didn't use any ceiling lights. I just used those wall mounted lights that were in the original build. I really liked how they point like a direct light down onto the artwork. I felt like that was very museum-y, if that's a word, to have instead of just like bright overhead lights. Even though museums tend to be quite bright, I felt like having a more dimly lit one was better for this one. So yeah, I felt like that worked out pretty nicely. And I also have just like some plants around, not really too many, just a few plants. Oh, and something else that I did is I used a window that's kind of the same style as the archway that I used, and I balanced out the wall by putting one of those down into like the overlook to the entryway, if that makes sense. And I thought that that looked so cool. I was like so proud of thinking of that because I felt like it was just going to be kind of an awkward kind of look, basically, to have such a big wall at the top of the staircase and nothing to kind of balance out the archway. I just felt like that would look a little bit awkward, and so having that as an option I think worked out pretty nicely, and so I was really happy about that. Here I'm just messing around with the front entryway just a little bit. I changed the color of the flooring to match the trim and like the wallpaper trim too, like not just the window trim, but the wallpaper trim. It's all the same color and it has the same color on the railing and the spandrel, so they just all match really nicely. And it just made it feel more like a historic home that's been turned into a museum. I don't know if you guys agree, but that's kind of how I see this building. It doesn't feel like it was built to be a museum. I feel like it used to be like a home and then it's turned into a museum. And so I do like that. Here I'm just picking out some gates. I don't end up actually using this particular gate just because it really did not match the style of the overall build, and so I end up finding a different one that's of course base game that I thought worked better. And then here I'm creating a couple of those planter beds that I was talking about. So I felt like for the museum part, having these just made it feel more like a commercial lot rather than having like just more like open kind of organic looking plants, or what's the word I'm looking for, just like really naturally grown, like unmanicured flower beds is kind of how it had originally. And I just felt like it, I don't know, felt a little bit out of place in my opinion. And I really wanted to find a sign, and so I looked through the like live edit objects and the debug objects and just the catalog, and I could not find anything. So unfortunately there was no signage that I could use that I felt like was appropriate for this building. But yeah, there you can see what I was talking about, how the flooring kind of comes up on the rounded part of the like where the floor is leading to the entryway, and so it's just kind of unfortunate. So all you have to do is actually delete the flooring that's underneath the rounded part, and then that will disappear. But there is going to be a tiny little gap where you can see like the ground below, so like the grassy area, but it's pretty small, so hopefully they fix that at some point because it's kind of frustrating. But anyways, over here I really wanted to use this really beautiful bridge that we have. You can find it in the live edit objects, and I believe you can see it somewhere in like the neighborhoods of Willow Creek, and it's just so pretty. And I did get it to function. I do have to move it here in just a little while because I wanted to put like a flooring across the water. So your Sims actually had something to walk on, because of course this bridge is not functional at all. It's just like purely decorative. The only thing is, when I started playtesting the build, I couldn't actually get it to function. So I think it was blocking the floor that I placed somehow. And so I placed it down in a basement level, and then I raised it up, and that seemed to work fine. I mean, it functions perfectly. The only thing is having it down in the basement level kind of changed the lighting of it. So if it's shadowed at all, it's very dark, but if the light hits it directly, then it's its normal green bright color. And so it's not perfect, but it does function, and I think it's super cute. And I really just felt like this was a more unique thing to do with the space over here, because of course I could have just re-landscaped the kind of like simple park that it had, but I just really wanted to utilize something that wasn't in base game originally, which is of course these ponds that we can create. And so I really wanted to have like a pretty bridge to go over it. Of course, if you don't like it, you could just delete the floor, delete the bridge. You could of course just use the flooring that I created and put a fence over it, and then have like a more simpler looking bridge. And of course it would still function, and still I still think it would look really cute. But that bridge is just so pretty. I just love the like ironwork detail on the sides of it. It has like lights strung into it. It's so pretty. And so I was just really happy with the way that this all turned out, and I loved the water. I added some swans in here, a lot of dragonflies, and also I added a alligator or crocodile. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but I thought that that was so perfect because of course Willow Creek is like a Louisiana inspired world. So I felt like having something like that in the water close by was kind of pretty perfect and pretty fun to have too. And it doesn't come up all the time. Like, it took me a while when playtesting it to actually see it. So it's more of just like kind of a secret creature in this little pond here, and it's probably not supposed to be here. So I thought that was a pretty fun idea. And then with the museums in game, you are supposed to have an art easel. And so I felt like this would be a great spot to have the art easel rather than inside the museum itself. So after you're done viewing all of the artwork and you're feeling very inspired, you could come down to this little park and do some painting and sit by the water. There was also lots of Sims just sitting at the benches here and reading, which I thought was pretty cool too. Just kind of unexpected because there's no books anywhere on the lot, so they like brought books with them to sit down in the park and read. So I thought that was super cute. And then here I'm working on the landscaping around the pond, just using a variety of different plants and rocks, just trying to make it feel natural and more like an artificial pond. Like, this isn't a natural body of water. Somebody dug it out and somebody put in all these rocks and plants purposely, and so that's kind of the look I was trying to give it. And so I felt like that worked pretty nicely. And I also really enjoyed placing these lily pads. These lily pads aren't the ones that you can find in the regular build catalog. They are live edit objects ones, and I sized them up and I raised them up, and I think they look so cute. And I don't know, I'm just completely in love with this area. I really wish though I could have had the bridge at the regular ground level and not in the basement level, because it does have not so great lighting. I'm probably gonna play around with it a little bit more and see if I can make it better before I officially upload it to the gallery. So hopefully I can, and if you guys have any tips, then definitely leave them for me so I can at least change it for future builds, because I haven't done a lot of bridges like this where I've combined a live edit objects one and then like a flooring to make it functional. And so maybe there's a trick I'm missing or something, but yeah, I just really love the look of it. I think it's super fun and super cute. And I also really enjoyed the landscaping. I just did a lot of those blue hydrangeas and then greenery. I didn't add a lot of different colors of flowers or anything. I think there's some like pink ones and stuff. And then definitely there's a variety of trees. I have like willow trees and just some plain, like, I don't know what you would call those other ones, just nice green trees, and then also some of them with the cherry blossoms too. And then there's the 2 art easels and a couple of benches around, and then little pathways. And I just think it's just such a charming, little charming park. It's so cute. So very happy about that. Here I'm adding the dragonflies. I do add a lot of them. And then I also add some of the little light bugs too. I'm forgetting the name of them at the moment. And then this is it for the build. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this renovation. Like I said, there will be a lot more to come this week for base game builds. So definitely come back every single day so you guys can see a new base game build. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and please leave any comments or suggestions you have. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.